Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on what is a spectacular day for the women of the state of New York. And I'm Kathy Hochul, so proud to serve with our Governor, Andrew Cuomo, who has put the needs and the interests of women one of the highest priorities of his agenda. And today we're here to see and celebrate the conclusion of the efforts to have the Women's Equality Agenda, in fact, signed into law. I first of all want to acknowledge the people who had such an important role in bringing us to this day, and those are our partners in government, the senators and assembly members who've been with us since the very beginning. If you mind holding your applause, I think we could save a little time, we'd appreciate it. But we have Senator Ruth Hazel Thompson with us today. Senator, thank you so much. Assembly Member Rodneyce Boucher, Assembly Member Maritza Davila, Assembly Member Jeff Dinowitz, Assembly Member Margaret Markey, Assembly Member Roxanne Prasad, Assembly Member Nili Rosick, Assembly Member Michelle Schimmel, Assembly Member Rebecca Seawright's here, Assembly Member Joanne Simon is here, Assembly Member Michelle Titus, Assembly Member Michaela Salages, and we have Senator Kathy Young and Assembly Member Donna Lupardo, who we'll be hearing from very shortly. I also want to acknowledge the incredible staff work that went into bringing us to this day, particularly Alfonso David, the counsel to the governor, and Mylan Dinnerstein, former counsel to the governor, who really got the ball rolling on this. Let's hear it for them. And we had incredible broad-based support for this initiative, and I want to thank the other members of the steering committee who put their heart and soul into this effort. Susie Ballantyne is co-chair of the Women's Equality Agenda. Thank you, Susie. Dina Bask, chair of A Better Balance. We have Donna Lieberman, executive director of NLACU. Beverly Newfield, president of the New York Women's Agenda. Sonia Sario, executive director of NOW. Lauren Tobias, CEO of Family Planning Advocates in New York, and also Chris Quinn, who worked so hard on this. So with that, I am very excited to introduce a video which I think is going to tell you an incredible story. Thank you.
There's so much shame, you know, because once you're out the life, you're like, oh my God, how did this happen to me?
My doctor basically told me that I had to refrain from heavy lifting and to get rest to make sure that, you know, the baby was okay.
I was trafficked in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan.
My doctor gave me a note stating that I was pregnant and that I can't lift more than 25 pounds.
My trafficker was my boyfriend.
And once my employer took one look at the note, he sent me home without pay indefinitely.
And at that moment, I didn't know, and it was trafficking.
So he took advantage of my weakness.
She called me and said that I was terminated.
Having steady income and then suddenly having that basically cut off.
And I need money to stand up on my feet because I was homeless after the situation. I didn't get any support.
I don't know how I was going to go, but I knew I had to go.
I felt like that was an injustice and they couldn't do that. And little to my knowledge, there weren't any laws protecting women against things like that.
For me as a survivor to hear this, you know, women equality, you can see the word equality, it needed for us.
Everything changes today.
Today, we are not men and women.
We are one New York.
The Women's Equality Act breaks down common barriers that women all over the state face on a daily basis.
Discrimination,
Inequality,
unfair treatment,
for no other reason
than the fact that they are women.
Because of Governor Cuomo's Women's Equality Act, New York can be proud to be leading the way in the fight for equal rights.
We're making strides towards pay equity.
And finally telling employers that education, training, and experience matter, not your gender.
We're stopping sexual harassment in all workplaces.
Not just some of them.
We're removing barriers to fighting discrimination.
Giving women a chance to recover attorney's fees in cases based on sex.
We're ending family status discrimination so women aren't punished for having children.
We're ending source of income discrimination to give all women the ability to secure decent housing for their families.
We're providing a safe haven for women who have been affected by domestic violence.
Strengthening orders of protection laws and making sure survivors receive adequate and appropriate services.
We're cracking down on human trafficking.
Raising penalties for those who traffic and patronize victims.
And making sure no survivor is ever called a quote-unquote prostitute again.
We're ending pregnancy discrimination once and for all.
Because of Governor Cuomo,
Fewer women will have to go through what I went through.
Each and every one of these issues is important to the future of women, not just in New York, but across the nation.
We're leading the way for women, bringing us one step closer to equality.
New York is the last place where women's rights should be held back.
It's the place where they must move forward.
We still have a lot of work to do.
But as Governor Cuomo has shown,
we can do it when we work together.
When we're united as one.
When we're one, New York.
Good morning. My name is Cangela Moore. Thank you. And I'm very happy to be here. I know, but this is really an inspiring moment just to watch this video. I mean, it's spectacular to understand what's about to happen today. And by saying that, I know what it's like to be discriminated against because I'm a woman. I made $7,000 less than my male counterpart doing the same job. I'm employed as a school safety agent for the City of New York for more than 22 years. I'm responsible for protecting the most precious commodities, and that is our students in New York City public system. I ensure the environment that is conducive to learning and that is safe for our children. Yet, for years, I was paid less than our male counterparts. They weren't any better than I was. They were simply men. I sued for justice, and I won with my union as my anchor. However, I give thanks to those that led the lead plaintiffs, which is Corinthians Andrews and also Bernice Christopher, for their courage to begin this lawsuit. But I know there are women out there like us in other schools, other jobs, and other cities who are still experiencing the same kind of discrimination. And it goes beyond equal pay. Women experiencing things like sexual harassment, pregnancy discrimination, domestic violence, and human trafficking every day in our society. It's not right. And this is why it is so important. The laws that Governor Cuomo is about to sign will make us sure that women are protected, supported, and given the equal opportunities they deserve. We deserve. I met Governor Cuomo last year, and he was fighting for these very laws to be passed. He's a true champion for the fight for equality, someone who is committed to taking a dream of justice and fairness for women and making it a reality. So, Governor, thank you. Thank you so much for all that you've done to make this a reality for me and other women, and also making sure that I and also the families and the generations to come of women will be secured. Now, please join us as we welcome our Governor, Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you to Ms. Moore for the kind introduction and for all the advocacy and good work you've done over the past couple of years. Today is a great day, as the Lieutenant Governor said, and we have a lot to celebrate. But before we get to that, although it's a great day, unfortunately it started on a very sad note. We lost another law enforcement officer last night. Another law enforcement officer was killed in the line of duty. And it's just another episode of what has become all too familiar and all too frequent, a loss of life needlessly by gun violence that is just out of control in this city and in this nation. And it is only getting worse. We passed a law in the state of New York that I'm very proud of called the SAFE Act, which is the most aggressive law on gun control in the nation. And we should all be very proud of that, but frankly, it's not enough, because what we did is we closed the front door of New York to guns, but the guns are coming in the back door. All you have to do is get in a car and go to Virginia, go to South Carolina, buy a gun, and drive back. And the story last night is the story you hear over and over and over again. There was a shootout, a number of young people who were involved in a shootout, a number of guns, a number of shots, police doing their duty, doing their business, and a police officer running to the danger to help others loses his life. A few weeks ago, we lost Carrie Gabay, who was a colleague of many of us in the governor's office. Beautiful, beautiful man, 43 years old, grew up in the projects, went to Harvard University. Could have been making $1 million in a big shot law firm. He went to government because he wanted to give back. That's the kind of person he was. And just an innocent victim who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And there was a shootout and a gun, a bullet entered his skull, and he's gone. NYPD have lost 4 officers in the past 10 months. That is either going to be the highest rate in the country or one of the highest rates of death of police officers in the country. Just think about that. So we've used the expression before, enough is enough. But enough is enough also of gun violence and losing innocent victims and losing police officers. And we want the NYPD to know today that they are in our thoughts and prayers, and more, they have the support of every person in the state of New York, and whatever we have to do to help them, we will help them. And let's start with a moment of silence for the family of Officer Randolph Holder, Jr., and we hope that his family can find peace in this very difficult situation. Thank you. With that, today is good news, as the Lieutenant Governor said, and today is a very long day in coming. A lot of hard work went into today, a lot of meetings, a lot of cups of coffee, a lot of hand-wringing, a lot of cajoling, let's say, which is a nice word, cajoling, covers a whole broad array of things, cajoling. A lot of cajoling, but we set out, we accomplished what we set out to accomplish, and we got the goal done. There's no better place to celebrate it than in this house, and we want to thank Jennifer Rabb and CUNY. This is the Roosevelt home. This is the home that Eleanor Roosevelt and Franklin lived in. A lot of history was made in this house, and CUNY has done a magnificent job restoring it and keeping it as the treasure it is for people to remember and people to learn. And let's give Jennifer Rabb and CUNY a round of applause. There's a great new director named Harold Holzer, who we worked with for a long time. Pleasure to be with him. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor especially for her hard work on this initiative, along with Chris Quinn. I think they have been all over the state dozens and dozens of times advocating for this, and it wouldn't have happened without their leadership, so we thank them very much. This is a situation where I think the women in the legislature led and sort of pushed the male colleagues aside and said, this one is non-negotiable, and this one you are just going to do, and that is the end of the conversation. And we thank Senator Kathy Young and Senator Donna Lupardo, who are here representing the women of the Senate and the women of the Assembly today. Let's give them a round of applause. We also had a coalition of about 850 groups, women's groups that was put together, and men's groups, but predominantly women's groups. And it really shows that organizing still works, and getting people in a room still works, and informing people still works, and democracy works. And if you organize people, and if you make your voice heard, people will respond. And we had some very powerful leadership organizing the groups, like Susie Ballantyne and Donald Lieberman and Dina Baxt and the whole group. Let's give them a round of applause for their good work. And this is exciting for me personally. You know, those of us who are in government, you're in government because you believe government is a vehicle to make this place a better place. And we spend a lot of time focusing on how to improve the state's economy and how to improve the state's finances and how to make the state more competitive from an economic point of view. And we spend a lot of time on job development and taxation and roads and bridges, all very important functions to be sure. But there's another function of government, which speaks to government as a vehicle to design and shape social policy, and to design and shape who we are as a people, and who we are as a society, and what we believe, and what we want to be. And that is also a very important role for government. Probably more difficult than the other task, but also probably more important. And this bill goes just to that. This bill is about facing our situation as a society, saying we're not happy, we can do better, and we want to do something about it, and then actually accomplishing that. And it goes to a central tenet of New York. You know, what is New York all about? New York is all about diversity, right? We're all about the lady in the harbor, the Statue of Liberty, who says, come here, we welcome you, all races, all color, all creeds, people from all across the world. Emma Lazarus, we don't care if you're rich, you're poor, come to New York. Diversity, we're comfortable with it. The flip side of diversity is equality. Because if you're inviting people in the name of diversity, then you are also saying at the same time, we believe in total equality. And we're not going to judge you by the color of your skin or by your religion or by your race or by your gender. And New York is a monument for that. And we stand up for that and we make that point whenever we can. Gay or straight, we're not going to judge you. And we passed marriage equality. Why? Because love doesn't discriminate. And that's our way of saying it. Black or white, equality. That's why we're so aggressive on the non-discrimination laws and the fair housing laws and the special prosecutor as the Attorney General. Because we believe in equality. Male or female are equal. Why? Because that's what New York is all about. Now, the first step towards solving a problem is admitting the problem. And I remember I was at a dinner party. My father was still alive, and he was with us. And someone asked me what I was planning for the state of the state, which was upcoming. And I said, we're going to plan a Women's Equality Act. And they said, what is that? And I said, well, you know, women are still discriminated against in society. And the person said to me, oh, you can't say that. I said, why can't I say that? She said, well, that's a very negative statement, and that's a very harsh statement. And my father, who was a few seats away, said, yes, but it's true. That was my old man. And he was right. It's negative, it's harsh, and it's hard to hear, but it's true. And the first step in solving a problem is admitting the problem. We discriminate against women. The old line from the song, "It's a man's world." There is a duality. It's cultural, it's stereotypical, but it is there. And it's also the facts, which tell a damning story. Women earn $11,000 less per year for similar positions. $500,000 less per year. Women are twice as likely to wind up living in poverty, 5 times more likely to be sexually harassed, 32 times less likely to become a CEO. There are two realities. Admit it, address it, and that's the first step towards the resolution of it. And that's what the Women's Equality Act is all about. And today we're going to sign the most comprehensive set of laws in the nation that will establish equality for women all across the board. It's a recognition of the inequality and a resolution of the inequality at the same time. The laws we sign will achieve pay equity, protect victims of domestic violence, sexual harassment, strengthen the human trafficking laws, which is still a major problem in the state of New York, protect victims of domestic violence from housing discrimination, remove barriers of remedying discrimination, end family status discrimination, protect victims of domestic violence by strengthening orders of protection, and protect women from pregnancy discrimination. We are also announcing today that an aggravating factor of the inequality is the power differential between men and women. And one of the places you see that manifested is in the sexual assault of young women on college campuses. That is a compounding of the inequality and the power divide. 1 out of 5 young women on a college campus is predicted to be a victim of sexual assault. Just think about that, 1 out of 5. Today, we passed a law, the Enough is Enough law, that says affirmative consent, that says it's a crime, the person is a victim, the person has a right to the police, rather than just a campus resolution. And part of that has to be to get the victims the assistance and support they need. And today we announced $4.5 million to the sexual assault and rape crisis centers so they can do their job and protect victims of assault and rape. One law that we have not yet passed in the state of New York is a state law that protects a woman's right to choose, but on that one the fight goes on, and on that I can tell you, as long as I am governor of the state of New York, I will protect a woman's right to choose with every fiber in my being. And what's most poignant to me is the simplicity of this law. A lot of bills that we sign, I sign with my colleagues, are technical and they take a long explanation and there's numbers and there's acronyms. This is very simple. We are signing these laws because this is the right thing to do. Because this says what New York always says, we are all equal. We don't judge, we accept, level playing field for all. Gay or straight, doesn't matter black or white, doesn't matter male or female. And that this state has a history and a legacy of leading the way. We are admitting a problem that exists nationwide. This is not a New York problem. New York is probably better than most states, frankly, when it comes to this. But it is a statewide problem that needs to be addressed, and New York will lead the way. The way we did with marriage equality, the way we did with fracking, the way we did with guns, the way we did with the most progressive tax code in the nation. We will show the nation the problem and the resolution. And that's what the Women's Equality Act is all about. It's the right thing to do for my 3 daughters, who are second to no one on the basis of their gender. And it's the right thing to do to every woman and daughter and aunt and sister in society who's been dealt an inferior set of cards just by their gender up until today. And it is so in fitting with the tradition of the Roosevelts, and especially Eleanor Roosevelt, who said it is okay to be a strong woman. It is okay to be a powerful woman, a woman of opinion. It is okay to be a powerful partner to a powerful man in a marriage. It is okay to be a powerful figure in a political marriage. And she did phenomenal good. And her words resonate today when she said, in the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. One's philosophy is not best expressed in words. It is expressed in the choices one makes. Today, the state of New York chooses to be a model of equality for women all across this nation. And that, my friends, is the right choice. Congratulations.
Thank you, Governor. I just have to tell you on a personal note, as a woman, your message has touched our hearts and touches the hearts of women all over this state to know that we have a champion in you. And we don't take that for granted, and it means so much to me. I truly am touched, truly. But in government, we also need partners. We can't just have a visionary, we also need a legislature to help us get it to the finish line. And we have had amazing partners in our state legislature, and when I think about Donna Lupardo and her advocacy on behalf of this, a champion for all of us, we owe a debt of gratitude to you, Donna, for stepping up when we needed you. And just when I think about the state legislature, it is still only 20% women. So it is not an easy task to take an issue, as you have done and our partners in the Senate, to the point where we are today, because there's a lot of people who don't necessarily believe that there are issues that affect women the way we have. So thank you, Donna, for stepping up and marshaling the leadership we need to be here. Let me introduce our Assemblywoman, Donna Lupardo.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for your kind words. Good morning, everyone. Governor Cuomo, very inspiring, very, very pleased to be here. I chair the New York State Legislative Women's Caucus. The Legislative Women's Caucus, there are 51 members, 40 women in the Assembly, 11 in the State Senate. It's actually a little better than 20%. We're up to 23%. And come January, we think we may be at a full 25%. Congratulations. We have women from every part of the state, every demographic, every political persuasion. 51 women with our male colleagues got behind the bills that the governor is signing today. We're very proud to be partners in this. We all came together to support these bills that will impact the lives of millions of women across the state. We really are a beacon. We really are in a position to send a message to the entire nation, and your commitment certainly is very inspiring to people who watch us, who watch New York, who look to see what we do. While we obviously have plenty to celebrate, I don't think anyone in this room will be resting on our laurels. We are committed to making sure that we do more, to making sure that every woman has full opportunity and protections that she deserves. Now, I have to tell you, when you mentioned about pushing our male colleagues aside, when 51 women and maybe 54 come January put our heads together, trust me, a lot of things can get accomplished. We are in the process of thinking through what our priorities will be next year, and we are very, very excited about what's to come so we can build on this success. Speaking of Eleanor Roosevelt and her inspiring quotes, she said, "The battle for individual rights of women is one of long standing, and none of us should countenance anything which undermines that." The New York State Legislative Women's Caucus, working with all of my colleagues and our governor, are committed to doing our part on behalf of women of New York State. And to that, I'd like to introduce my colleague and member of the caucus, Senator Kathy Young.
Well, thank you and good morning. And on behalf of Senate Majority Leader John Flanagan, who sends his greetings, and my entire conference, I am thrilled to be here. And first of all, thank you, Governor, for your incredible leadership on these issues. And I so enjoy working with you on so many areas. And you may not know this, I hail from as far away from New York City as you can get in the state. I represent an area that is very rural, has a lot of poverty on the southern tier of Western New York, but this is so important to women all over the state, our mothers and our daughters, our sisters, and I want to thank you again, Governor, and I want to thank Lieutenant Governor for all that you do. And as a matter of fact, I think she may be out in my area tomorrow, so she is buzzing all over the state, and as the Governor knows, this is a really, really big state. But, you know, and I also want to thank you, Governor, for announcing the Rape Crisis Center funding. That is so crucial, and there's so many women who are victimized and suffering, and that brings not only justice, but also comfort to these women, so I want to thank you for that. The bills that are being signed today will establish sweeping protections for New York's women and mark an historic step for the fight in inequality. Today is a reminder that in New York, we believe that no woman should ever be held back or considered secondary on the basis of her gender. Like Governor Cuomo, I believe that New York truly is the state of opportunity. And with these new laws that the governor is signing today, we are making sure that opportunity is protected for women just as much as it is for men. We also are taking fundamental steps toward protecting women from a number of terrible crimes, including sexual harassment and human trafficking. And I was very proud and honored to be able to be the sponsor of the domestic violence bill. All of these new laws represent an important victory, and it's a victory that I know many people in this room have fought long and hard to achieve, and we thank you for that. But we cannot rest on our laurels. Tomorrow we will fight on because there still is work to do. But I also want you to know that I'm optimistic for the future. Today is proof that we can come together, Republicans and Democrats, to get the job done. So I look forward to continuing that level of partnership with you, Governor, and with all the people in this room to continue to deliver for the women of New York State. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you, Senator Young. We want to thank all of you for joining us on what can be called a momentous occasion, and let's sign the bill.